Hi, 5557. This is Julia, and I just wanted to introduce you to Dr. Lequez Spearman. He is an assistant professor of sports management in the College of Professional Studies at St. John's, and he has agreed to spend some time with us today just to talk about how the transition has gone for him and what it might mean from a faculty perspective to manage retention, recruitment, and advisement in the season. So thank you so much, Dr. Spearman, for spending time with us.
Of course, thanks for the invitation.
Just to get started, can you share a little bit about the courses that you teach and the students who are in your academic program?
Yeah, so I'm in the Division of Sport Management at St. John's. So students want to become agents, they want to become Yankee Stadium employees, right? Hospitality, tourism management, right? And so the courses I teach deal with just the managerial side, like what is it that managers do on a day-to-day basis in their jobs, right? And also I'm teaching a sports sociology class in our sociology division in CPS because my training was in sports sociology, so I'm able to serve that division too. So yeah, typically like juniors and seniors who are close to the precipice of entering the field, and then also a graduate class that's a leadership class, and so students who are entertaining getting the MBA, right, or are really close to getting that job or having to decide on how to pay for their wedding or whatnot or pay for kids. So like yeah, so undergrads, juniors, seniors, and then a grad class, sports sociology class over in our sociology division.
So you have a wide range of students who you work with, and it seems that your work is pretty interdisciplinary as well.
Yep.
Can you talk a bit about your experience moving your courses to an online format?
Yeah, so it's been quite a challenge because I'm in a unique spot because I try to keep my stuff current with sport leagues. As you know, everything's shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I could just go on NBA League Pass or like watch the RSN regional sport networks, find content that's relevant because students are watching the same thing. So if I'm losing that arsenal footage, right? Being able to get stuff, curate content, right? That's the one move, right? So having to go back last year, right, to find items that can relate, that can like dovetail with the content. That's what I'm trying to do right now. As far as like, then again, not having the block schedule, like I've kind of been institutionalized. So like I'm used to just waking up every day, going here at this time, having office hours. So right now, like I'm wondering, like, am I being productive? Like I'm waking up later now. Like very much a weird transition going from face to face to online because of I'm losing content, right? The hockey shut down, NBA shut down, Major League Baseball has been delayed, postponed, right? So it's been I would say I'm in a precarious spot right now.
So just to follow up on that, have the students shared any feelings or observed the differences in your class because you don't have that immediate link to things that are happening?
Yeah, so I can't say right now because students have not really expressed their uneasiness about this, right? Like, I mean, they could be like going nuts, right? But I'll never know that because they'll never tell me that, right? Because like in class, you can kind of read students' facial expressions to figure out, okay, like some students are not getting this, so you can like have that dipstick approach where you like just check the temperature. Right now, I can't because no one's reaching out to me unless to just clarify an assignment, right? So I'm worried about like, are they worried at all? Am I getting through them? But I mean, no one's reaching out to me. My chair is not saying students are complaining, so I'll go on as planned.
Right.
No, I'm gonna put on any fires. I guess I'll just go on and deliver content. So
Absolutely triage right now. Like I totally feel that I have the same experience. Would just one more follow up to that. Have you experienced differences in the way that you are putting your courses online as it relates to, say, your juniors and seniors versus your graduate students?
yeah, so I would say with the grad class, it's a sports psychology class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to like just have the PowerPoint ready, right? But then find like little YouTube clips,
Mm-hmm.
create like 5 minute lectures on this content, right? So it's like sometimes in class, like having a class kind of hamstrings you because you have to deliver this block content, right? The PowerPoint, the shell, right? And then engage into like or improvise, right? So
Mm-hmm.
grad class, I don't have to improvise. I can just, hey, here's the lecture, here's the PowerPoint shell, and let me
Mm-hmm.
give you these items that I think kind of borrow from or complement the master shell. So I think provides the opportunity for me to just get targeted content whereby like I'm not like hamstrung by this massive shell, right? Sometimes like you have to play the book. Like how can I kind of separate myself from this shell and start to improvise? Well, now I can just improvise, right, and just
Mm-hmm.
go right into that. And so
Unintended benefit.
yeah, so that's the grad class. And I think the other grad class, I'm having to scale back my slide because sometimes it can. I feel like in classroom I'm very engaging, right? So I can kind of use jokes and stuff and get them to like
Yeah.
wake back up, right? But right when I'm using screen recording, like I just can't sit there and tell jokes because there's no. It's just you can't tell jokes, right? So like I have to strip down the content because I have to just get straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being able to like pick up on things because sometimes in class you can just some students will make a comment and you can just spend 5 minutes talking about that, and then that leads to other comments, right? But now it's just me. I don't have these students to play off of, so I have to get right to the point, which makes
I'm
it kind of boring.
experiencing the same thing. I realized not having that back and forth, it really shortens some of the time that I spend, even online or recording content because having that dialogue is so important. So, can you share any concern that your students have had in terms of the transition? Are there things that they're nervous about? Not so much about comments about complaints or successes about your course content, but things that they're just concerned about in the online environment.
So I have this one student. So when the president announced a 2 week suspension of classes, right? Immediately she responded, sent me an email saying, "Hey, what's your plan for the semester?" And I was like, "Well, like let me go to bed, and then I'll respond to you in the morning." Because she said this like at 12 o'clock at 12:15 in the morning, right? So I was like,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, yeah. So I had dead that right, and then
Mm-hmm.
so I responded to her like, "Hey, so this is the plan." Sent the email to all the class like, "Hey, this is 2 week plan, right? We will have our midterm in class, expecting that this will continue, right?" And then of course the president had the kibosh. Was like, "Well, semester's done." So there again, she goes, "Hey, so what's the plan?" I was like, "Okay, yeah." So just that student. But yeah, just she's the only one that I'm really worried about. But I wonder like if there are other students, if she's like symptomatic of students who same way. So is she just that outlier, or is she just an analog to the other students who may feel that way, or should reach
Right.
out to her to figure out like ask Dr. Spears about this, right? So I don't know, but there's only one student who's like pressed to have a plan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So along that line, what do you feel might be some of the challenges that your students might be facing right now?
I think I want to say that I'm the greatest ever, right? And that they're going to miss me, right? I think students who are entering like seniors, right? And so they worried about like the last semester, of course, commencement, right? So some students really want content. They come to St. John's because it's liberal arts school, right? And there's the low student faculty ratio, so they may feel as if they're not getting their money's worth, right? And I work
Mm-hmm.
with that, right? I think that's the piece. And some students may wonder, like, like why. I think that's one piece. one piece. Give me a second. I'm trying to. That was a good question. So students who may feel as if they're not getting their money's worth, or they are not getting the content. I think that's it for now. But I mean, I have to come back to you and see how this plays out. But I feel like right now I only have that one student, so other students are just coming.
My fingers for you.
Yeah, just that one student. So I think for now we're in good spirits because the grad students, they're okay. Like they can handle that. And so like, and plus they don't mind not having to commute, at night. So I think that's taken care of. But just that one student who's like really on it. So
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. So, in the context of your course and your program, both as you've made the shift to online ed and just currently, is there anything important that you feel advisors should know about your students when advising them that would help them be more successful?
advising. So I think advisors might want to tap into the anxiety of students right now, because now they put out this pass fail option, right? Weekend. So I think being able to explain to students what that means for them. It's like, so if they go to grad school and they do the pass fail option, would some search committee chair or some grad school panel chair like look upon that and say like, why is there a pass fail option? So I think just explaining to students that we are in this unprecedented moment right now, and so we're all building the plane as we're flying the plane. So I think just having them realize like this is not your fault. Like we're not expelling you from class. Like this is not your fault. This is something that we just couldn't kind of like telegraph or telegraph, right? So I think that just making students realize that it's not their fault. It's unprecedented, and we'll do whatever it takes to support you, answering the questions you may have. But I think just being available to students. They're emailing you at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely. And really well said. We're all going through this together, and so it doesn't look clear and scripted. You don't have a bonus syllabus in case of pandemic. That's a really real thing. And so in thinking about how this pandemic might impact retention and enrollment for next year, do you have any thoughts on what we might be expecting in terms of threats to retention and also enrollment in your program?
I think it's easy to say that we're going to face a hit, right? Because students who rely on summer jobs to pay for books and tuition and their deposits, right? And so if the economy shut down, then they can't take from those employment opportunities, right? But then again, so is Fordham, right? So is NYU, right? Like everyone is taking a hit. So I think that we're all competing for the same pool of students. So it's not as if like there's a zero sum, like my loss is your gain, right? Like everyone is losing, right? And so I think that is clear. But then again, like so during the last here's a little story here. During the last recession, I went to grad school because of that. Right. So like I was like, you know what? It's really spooky out here. I was terrified. I just wanted to get my undergrad degree, say to him, wash my hands like, hey mom, I did it. I'm the only one. Right. And so, but then the recession, so I went to grad school. So I think this could incur grad enrollment or induce grad enrollment because like now students who realize like, wow, so there are these non-essential versus essential jobs. And so we could see a lot of jobs in informatics, healthcare, right? Because a lot of our jobs are in the service sector. And so when it comes to what's essential, non-essential, you could have other students thinking about grad school.
Yeah.
I hate to use crisis as an opportunity, but I just recall from my years, right? I was just wanting to go to undergrad and right? But the grad school. So I think there's students who would entertain seeing, all right, so these jobs are being cut off, but this job is essential. Let's go to pharmacies, doctors, right? Like I think even liquor stores are open.
Right.
Who would have thought? So I think opportunities for students to reflect on continuing education.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you brought up a really great point around the, this language of essential and non-essential. And the thing about leadership and administration in particular is that those are jobs that can still be done in many ways remotely. And
Yeah.
I'm not so well versed in careers in your sector, but do you feel that there are opportunities for students remotely, maybe now and in the future?
So I think for the most part, where manager suffers from the fact that we are service sector jobs, right?
Mhm.
Stadium, right? The Barclays, you need employees to uh, kind of supervise that. But in analytics, like big data, esports, right, where people just watch other people watch sport, right? I think that could induce students to think about analytics, big data, esports, other frontiers where there's a white space. And so you're getting a picture of like, okay, so if something happens, God forbid, these jobs are let me get away from the service sector into more of the salaried essential jobs where you can still do things from home, right?
Right.
You can still somehow service something, right? If you're a consultant, you don't. So I guess order and more to the cloud infrastructure where you can still have clients and data in the cloud and be able to service them in these cases. So going from brick and mortar to more of the internet based cloud infrastructure. If that makes sense.
Awesome. So I will end there, and thank you so much. It's really interesting because you're dealing with so many pieces of this. A lot of times in this course, we're focused on one specific group of students, but by nature of the interdisciplinary nature of your research and work and teaching, you're teaching students in undergrad and graduate. There are remote in-person options. Really bring a wealth of knowledge to our topic. I'm so thankful that you agreed to share with us today.
I'll add one more point though. This may be not like kind to academia, right? So
Yeah.
I think just as there's been like this market correction in business, right? So like we've kind of gotten fat, right? So I think looking at this, we can kind of trim the fat, if you will, right? Because we're seeing, all right, those work from home, like we've benefited from the increase in higher education.
Yes.
So now, like, I mean, so many divisions, departments have a bunch of administrators, right? And so some of these folks, right, there's duplicative skills, right? So I think being able to recognize, like, wow, like, what are the non-essential essential skills that are positions that are in academia, but don't think like, but I guess they are.
No, it's so real, and even how do we knows what it is that we do?
Yeah,
Because in a time when we are the interactions count, the quality counts, those analytics and deliverables. And so if we aren't able to prove that, it could well be something wise.
definitely.
Important point. But thank you so much.
Of course.
And I will stop the recording here.
All right, thank you.